Shalom. All praises to our Creator and Maker Yahweh, in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shah. Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered across the four corners of the earth. Today's topic we're going to deal with is the Egyptians are not the Most High's people. This based off the translation Isaiah 19:25 from the King James Bible. When you read this passage, it appears that the Egyptians may be amongst the Most High's chosen people. I want to show you that is incorrect, and I want to show you the proper and easier way and the best way to explain. I've seen brothers from other camps try to explain it, and they go totally unnecessary steps to doing it. So I want to show you the proper way to understand it. Let's get into this. Isaiah chapter 19, I'm going to start at verse 24. In that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land, whom Yahweh of hosts shall bless, saying, Blessed be Egypt, my people, and Assyria, the work of my hands, and Israel, my inheritance. So when you read, it says that, Blessed be Egypt, my people, and Assyria, the work of my hands, and Israel, my inheritance. When you that doesn't add up when you are in the truth and you understand the scriptures, because we know the scriptures make it clear that Israel's the Most High's chosen people for edification's sakes. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 18, real quick. Deuteronomy 26, 18. It says, And Yahweh have avouched thee this day to be his peculiar people, Salakia, as he hath promised thee, and thou shouldest keep all his commandments. He's talking to Israel now. And to make thee high above all nations which he hath made, in praise and in name and in honor, and that thou mayest be a holy people unto Yahweh thy power, as he hath spoken. So throughout the Bible, Deuteronomy 7:6, Deuteronomy 14:2, this passage I just read, Deuteronomy chapter 26, verse 18, 19, it makes it clear that Israel, the 12 tribes of Israel, is the Most High's chosen people, and he chose them above all the other nations. So why does Isaiah 19:25 read saying that Egypt is his people, and how do we answer that passage? The solution is real simple. The problem is that the King James Bible is a translation. It is not the original word of the Most High, because we know that this was translated from the Masoretic text. So we're going to go to the Septuagint to get the proper understanding of the way this should read, and we'll take it from there. So this is the My Sword map that you can download off of Google Play Store. It's a real helpful Bible resource too, where you can download all kinds of Bible translations, dictionaries, and valuable resources to help with your edification of the scriptures. So on here I got the Greek Septuagint, which is older than the Masoretic transcript, and is closer to the original source. So here's how it should read, and this solves your answer. Isaiah 19:25 says, saying, Blessed be my people that is in Egypt, and that is among the Assyrians, and Israel my inheritance. Simple as that. That's how you answer Isaiah 19:25. Let me read that again. It says, saying, Blessed be my people that is in Egypt, and that is among the Assyrians, and Israel mine inheritance. Yeah, I've seen videos of other camps trying to break this down, and they just take you through precepts trying to explain Isaiah 19:25 when it's which is a good thing to do, but it's a translation error. Remember, the King James is a Bible translation. It's not the official or original manuscript. So I encourage people to use other credible Bibles to help to help with your studies to understand and get a good understanding of the scriptures. Because from doing my research with the Septuagint, which I own a physical copy as well, as having on my phone app, it contains verses and passages that's missing from the King James Bible. So with the King James, besides not having the Apocrypha, most of the books, you don't have all the verses and passages outside of the Apocrypha in your King James Bible either. So you're missing key and vital information from the King James that's preventing us from getting the best understanding possible. Now, I love the King James Bible and I use it at least 90 to 95% of the time when I study the scriptures, but I use other resources to check behind the King James translation. Let me pull up an article for you to hopefully further edify the importance and value of the Greek Septuagint. This article is called "The Masoretic versus the Septuagint: Guns, Lies, and Forgeries." This is a good article explaining the importance and value of the Greek Septuagint. Let me start at this paragraph. It says, around 250 BC, 70 rabbis translated the sacred text into Greek. Now, unfortunately, these people that wrote the article excellent scholarship, but they don't have the truth about the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans being the true chosen people. So they use words like rabbis, because they and Jews. So excuse the language here for those of us that's in the truth. So it says around 250 BC, 70 rabbis translated the sacred text into Greek. This translation was not a bootleg edition. The project was approved by the high priest and the Sanhedrin in Jerusalem. The Septuagint, the translation of the 70, was an official document. So 250 BC was at least over 200 years before Yahushua and the apostles walked on the earth. This translation was done. And you can read the letter of Aristosis. Salaki if I pronounce his name wrong, but he explains how they chose six scribes from the 12 tribes of Israel to carefully translate the Old Testament to Greek. And like the article says, it was approved it had high accountability, being approved by the high priest and Sanhedrin. Let me go on with the passage now. It says, a Hebrew Bible exists today. It is used by Jews everywhere. It is called the Masoretic text. It was compiled around 700 AD. So much later, 700 AD. It is almost 1,000 years newer than the Septuagint. The rabbis who compiled the Masoretic text were not accountable to the high priest in Jerusalem. There no longer was a high priest. The rabbis who compiled the Masoretic text were not accountable to the Sanhedrin in Jerusalem. There no longer was a Sanhedrin. And also, the Masoretes weren't the original Jews either. The Israelites that translated the Septuagint were the ancient original Jews, because the Masoretes added vowel points to the Hebrew language, and we know that the Hebrew language didn't have batash or commas or vowel points in the original Hebrew alphabet. And when you add vowel points to a language, you can some of those vowel points can change the meanings and change what the words are. And you notice that when one examines the Masoretic text closely, that some of the words are changed from the original, which can change the whole dynamic of a passage. The Septuagint predates the first appearance of the Masoretic text by almost 10 centuries. The Septuagint is based upon the Hebrew text, at least 12 centuries older than the text upon which the Masoretic version is based. Yet modern Christian translations of the Old Testament rely on the Masoretic text, not the Septuagint. So the Septuagint is closest to the source, and we know when doing research, it's best to go far back to the original source as possible. to get the truth. So I'm not sure why a lot of brothers in the truth in Israel don't embrace the Septuagint. I have my collection. It's a valuable source. I believe every teacher or believer that values the truth should have in their collection. Where is the problem? Most of the quotations from the Old Testament and the New Testament use the Septuagint as their primary source. The integrity and truthfulness of the Septuagint is completely dependent on the Septuagint being a truthful translation. Discredit the Septuagint, and there is no New Testament. There was no controversy about the integrity of the Septuagint from 250 BC until 135 AD. Passages show you another way that the Septuagint corrects the Masoretic text. Let's look at Hosea chapter 12, verse 9. Start with the King James Version first. Okay, Hosea chapter 12, verse 9 says, I am Yahweh thy God from the land of Egypt. Will yet make thee to dwell in tabernacles, as in the days of the solemn feast. So according to Hosea chapter 12, verse 9 says, Yahweh is from the land of Egypt. That doesn't make sense. I mean, this is, because we know Isaiah 66, 1 says that heaven is his throne and earth is his footstool. So is Yahweh an Egyptian deity then? Let's look at the Septuagint. See how it corrects Hosea chapter 12, verse 9. It says, but I, Yahweh thy God, brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. So that's the key verse. He brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. He's not from Egypt, but he brought the Israelites up out of the land of Egypt when you go to the book of Exodus to verify that. I will yet cause thee to dwell in tabernacles according to the days of the feast. So that's another passage that the Septuagint corrects out of from the King James. So Israelites, whoever watches, you do not have to go through 100 precepts to it's good to use precepts, but it's not necessary to go through 100 precepts to explain the Bible translation error. Just go to the Septuagint and show people how it should read. So the Most High is not from Egypt. The Egyptians are not chosen people, but he's the one that brought the Israelites up out of the land of Egypt. Let me give you another passage. Hosea 13, verse 4. Which says, but I am, Salakia, let me pull up the King James first. And also look at the King James and the Septuagint, how the King James is much shorter than the Septuagint in Isaiah 13, verse 4. Or here it is from the Masoretic text. It says, yet I am Yahweh thy God from the land of Egypt, and thou shalt know no God but me, for there is no Savior beside me. So we're going to go to the Septuagint to see how it reads. It says, but I am Yahweh thy God, that establishes the heaven and creates the earth, whose hands have framed the whole host of heaven. But I showed them not to thee, that thou shouldest go after them, and I brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And thou shalt know no God but me, and there is no Savior besides me. So again, the Septuagint corrects the King James Bibles. The Most High is not from Egypt. He's the one that brought the Israelites out of Egypt. That's how it should read. He brought thee out of Egypt. So this, as simple as that to explain. And there's many more passages that the Septuagint corrects that the King James falls short in. Let me finish this lesson out with 2 Timothy 2:15. Which says, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So it's important to study to show ourselves approved. I hope this lesson may be edifying to you. All praises to the Most High God. Shalom.